It's really been 5 months since my last video, huh? Well, now that it's the holidays, and here to talk about Astro Bot and why it's easily the most fun PS5 exclusive that's out right now. From the moment I started the game, I felt like I was a kid again playing on the PS3. This game just feels like it's straight out of that era, being a colourful 3D platformer that has beautiful graphics. It might not have hyper-realistic graphics like Horizon Forbidden West or Spider-Man 2, but the cartoony art style really helps the game shine and it fits the vibe perfectly. Now, I'm not a digital foundry, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the technical stuff, but it was just nice to play a console game and know that it wouldn't run like shit compared to most games that come out buggy nowadays. Like, you know, the game runs perfectly when they didn't even feel the need to make a PS5 Pro patch. It already runs at like 4K 60 FPS. Also, there's more on this in Digital Foundry's video, but the game makes use of physics with stuff like water and mud, and it's really cool to play around with, offering some engaging gameplay along with the integration of the DualSense controller. As for the music, the game's soundtrack is pretty nice, and the songs fit the levels really nicely, especially in the special stages, but I'll get into that later. Anyways, enough about all that, let's get into the good stuff. But first, let's just get the story out of the way, because it's pretty simple. So Astro is flying the PS5 at the start with all the bots inside, when the main villain, Nebulax, attacks you and breaks the PS5 open, stealing all the components inside. Astro is left stranded on a desert planet with the shell of the PS5, and must rescue all the bots across the different planets and clear each galaxy to retrieve the components of the PS5 back. Now, a game like this doesn't really need a crazy plot though, just like every Mario game, as the gameplay is really where it shines. In terms of the actual core gameplay though, I will say it's a bit simple when compared to something like Mario Odyssey, because you can only really jump, hover in the air, punch stuff, or do like a spin attack after charging the punch button. I wish there were more special movement techniques, like how you can roll jump in Jak and Daxter, or use Clank to do a long jump in Ratchet and Clank. In Mario Odyssey, there are so many more options when it comes to the movement and traversal, especially when you use Cappy to bounce off of while you dive. It was so fun to just run around in that game, and I feel like Astro Bot could have used more basic mechanics, aside from all the power-ups you get, as it would have made the game way more fun to just run around in, and especially when doing the short challenge levels. I'm only comparing it to Mario Odyssey because I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying it was better than that game when Astro Bot came out, but even as a big PlayStation fan myself, I don't think Astro Bot is as good, although it is still really fun. When it comes to those power-ups though, they make up the best parts of the game, especially as a lot of the levels are designed around them. My personal favorites are the frog punching gloves, the slow motion one, the bulldog booster, and the SpongeBob inspired one as well. I definitely had the most fun in the levels that had those power-ups. Now, the challenge levels are these little speedrun type levels that are themed around each button on the PlayStation controller, so either X, circle, triangle, or square. They don't have any checkpoints and require you to beat the entire level in a single go, so there aren't any second chances. I like these levels because they really test your platforming skills, and they were really fun until I got up to this one level towards the end that was so hard it probably took me like more than 30 tries. Other than that though, they were nice additions and helped make the galaxies feel bigger with more levels to complete. So the crash site on the planet that you start the game on ends up becoming like the hub world of the game, where the characters that you rescue end up. Throughout the levels in the game, you can rescue bots that are themed after many different characters. Like, there's literally 300 and more getting added in free DLC. The characters range from PlayStation characters like Kratos, Nathan Drake, and Aloy, to just other characters from franchises that have been on PlayStation consoles in the past. There's so many that it would take me a while to read all of them, so I won't ruin the surprise and I'll let you discover them if you still haven't played the game for yourself yet. The crash site also has some things that you unlock as you progress through the game and collect more puzzle pieces. These include a gacha lab, a garage to change your controller ship's colors, a changing room where you can choose your outfit, an area called the Safari Park where it has a bunch of animals that you can take photos of, and it's also where you unlock the photo mode in this game. And lastly, there's a golden statue that you can unlock after collecting all the puzzle pieces in the game and rescuing 300 bots, which I still haven't done yet. Apparently this unlocks the Great Master Challenge, which is the final hardest stage in the game, and I'm excited to try it out once I rescue all the bots. Now, the crash site was honestly one of my favorite parts in the game, being able to interact with all the cameo bots and seeing all my favorite video game characters, especially the PlayStation franchises like Little Big Planet, Sly Cooper, Infamous, and so many others. I also love how you can summon all the bots that you've rescued to you and make them follow you around or emote with them. It was pretty fun to do that sometimes. The gacha machine was also very addictive, as it let you unlock certain items or characters that are related to the bots that you rescue. For example, after I rescued Jak, I unlocked Daxter in the gacha machine to complete the set. Each character has something you can unlock for them, like Mjolnir for Thor or that cardboard box for Snake, to name a few. When it comes to rescuing the cameos however, I feel like the game would have been perfect if the cameos were more related to the levels that you rescue them from. For example, in this one casino level, you end up rescuing Joker from Persona 5 and Sly Cooper. car, which fits nicely with the sort of heist theme that the level has, and especially because there's literally a casino dungeon in Persona 5. But in another random lava level, I rescued the characters from the Infamous series, and it wasn't really related at all. Okay, now let's talk about the special stages, which are definitely the best part of this game. So at the end of each galaxy, there's a boss level that you need a certain amount of rescued bots to access. After you beat the boss, you end up rescuing a PlayStation mascot and unlock their special level. For the first special stage, it's a level themed around Ape Escape, where you have to capture all the monkeys that are running around. Now since Ape Escape is a PS1 game and I've never played it before, I don't really have too much to say about it, as I don't really have an attachment to the game. But this level and the boss at the end was still pretty fun, and I enjoyed it for the most part. But the second special stage is really where I realized this game is a masterpiece. When I finally rescued Kratos and Atreus and unlocked their special level named Bot of War, which just fits perfectly. Before you even start the level, you can see the attention to detail right away, as there's one of Odin's ravens that you can destroy while you're flying in. There are also more spread out throughout the level, and it was really fun trying to find them all. The level also has a remixed version of the God of War theme, which goes so hard. As you make your way up to Kratos and Atreus, you find him using the Leviathan axe to chop wood in half. Another nice reference to the start of the 2018 game where Kratos was cutting down the trees that Faye had marked. Kratos then gives you the axe, and you grow a beard, gaining his powers, allowing you to use the axe to freeze enemies by throwing it at them and call it back to you, just like Kratos can. From the way that Astro swings the axe, to the narrow passageway that's meant to mimic the disguised loading screens that are in 2018 God of War and Ragnarok. It's the little details like these that just show how much care Team Asobi put into the game. There are so many Easter eggs and references to the actual games, like the mural that depicts Kratos' death with Atreus holding him. In here, they make fun of it in a hilarious way, showing Kratos buying Atreus a PS1, and then later him dying in real life after dying in-game. Also right next to this, you have Angrboda playing Bot of War Ragnarbot on a PS2. Later, you can blow the horn to summon the World Serpent, just like in Midgard in 2018 God of War, and you can find Thor on top of it, a nod to their rivalry in Ragnarok. You can flip Freya's turtle over to find her inside, just like her house is inside the turtle in 2018 God of War. You can find Mimir near a tree, being flown around by one of Odin's ravens, a reference to how he was trapped in the tree in God of War 2018. Also, out of all the bots, he's the only one who's literally just a head. It's so perfect. By the end of the level, you'll have rescued Angrboda, Thrud, Freya, Thor, Mimir, Brock and Sindri. You'll then face off against the boss, Nidhogg, which was one of the bosses in Ragnarok that guards the roots of Yggdrasil. Now the boss was pretty easy to be honest, but it was fun and used the axe nicely. Now the third special stage was one that I really wasn't expecting, despite seeing Nathan Drake on the cover of the game. Considering that you shoot a lot of guns in Uncharted, I figured that a kid's game like Astro Bot couldn't make an Uncharted level work, but they really surprised me by just using a toy gun instead. But it's also the same toy gun that Nate uses in the attic in Uncharted 4, so that's another cool detail. When you catch up with Nate, he's pinned down by a bunch of enemies and he throws you his gun so you can deal with them, while he goes back to playing on his PS Vita, probably playing Uncharted Golden Abyss. Throughout the level, you can hear a remix of the Uncharted main menu theme, which just hits different after not having a mainline Uncharted game since Uncharted 4 in 2016. Even just from the start of the level, the beginning of the theme just hit me with so much nostalgia, taking me back to when I played the trilogy on PS3. The Easter eggs in this level were also on point, just like the God of War one, but they also included references to Jak and Daxter by having precursor orbs spread out throughout the level, which I really loved. As for the bots that you rescue, the situations they're in are also references to specific Uncharted games. For example, you rescue Chloe on top of a pirate ship, a reference to the theme of Uncharted 4. You rescue Sully on top of a crashed airplane, a reference to Nate and Elena crashing Sully's private plane in Uncharted 1. You can rescue Elena on top of the German U-boat that Nate and Sully find in Uncharted 1. You can rescue the skeleton of Sir Francis Drake, the person that Nate renamed himself after, in order to make everyone believe that he was his descendant. And last but not least, you can rescue Nate's brother Sam from a bunch of enemies, and with that, you've rescued all the characters in the level. This honestly felt like a whole Uncharted game packed into a single level, while keeping the gameplay intact. You can swing on ropes, there are some little puzzles where you have to match these symbols, and to top it all off, everything starts collapsing and sinking towards the end of the level, before you're chased by a giant spiked ball, which is probably a Crash Bandicoot reference. The boss fight at the end of the level was reminiscent of the many chase sequences in the Uncharted games, where you have to run and gun or shoot at something while driving away. And like I've said 50 times by now, it was just so fun. Honestly, I don't know what else to say. This game just had me smiling the entire time I played it. It's just that amazing. Now for the 4th special stage, it's definitely my least favorite. Even though I wouldn't say it's bad, it's just that the others were more fun to me. I didn't even know what game it was referencing until I searched it up, and it's actually a PSP game called Loco Roco. I think the reason why it was included in this game is because it was made by Japan Studio before Sony reorganized them into Team Asobi. They're essentially just putting one of their older games in, so I respect it. But I definitely would have preferred a different level for another PlayStation game. As for the final special stage, the level was inspired by the Horizon series, as you become able to shoot arrows after Aloy gives you her bow. To give a bit of context, I have played a tiny bit of Horizon Zero Dawn, but I dropped it after I got bored a few hours in. Even still, I actually enjoyed this level, but not on the same level as the Uncharted or God of War ones. Because I haven't played the Horizon games like that, I didn't get all the references, but I did like the music and the gameplay, even though I felt like my sensitivity was off when I was aiming, or maybe it was just a skill issue and I'm ass. Either way, solid level with beautiful graphics just like the actual games, and the boss at the end was pretty cool. If I had to rank all the special stages, I would have probably put the Uncharted level as my number 1, the God of War level as my number 2, Ape Escape number 3, Horizon number 4, and the Loco Roco level number 5. Honestly, I just wish that every PlayStation character could have had their own special stage. I would have loved an Infamous themed level where you can shoot electricity, or a Spider-Man level where you can swing around. Honestly, I can't believe there wasn't a Spider-Man one at least. That would have made the game an easy 10 out of 10 for me. But then again, I just remember that Marvel owns the rights to Spider-Man for everything except the movies, so they'd have to get Marvel's permission like Insomniac did. Maybe Team Asobi wanted to do more but were limited with the small budget that Sony gave them. Who knows? Hopefully with the game's success, they can do that for a 3rd entry in the Astro series. If they did make a 3rd game, I would love to see more special stages for as many PlayStation franchises as possible. If they somehow made a whole game of that and put an actual story in there, it could easily top Astro Bot and would go down as one of my favorite PlayStation games of all time, and probably one of the greatest 3D platformers of all time. Okay, so now that the Game Awards are over, Astro Bot somehow managed to sweep up awards left, right and center, as well as winning Game of the Year, and I'm honestly still surprised that it did, but it's a testament to the passion that Team Asobi poured into this game. Anyone who played the final level in Astro Bot would definitely understand why the game deserves Game of the Year. It was genuinely a masterpiece. I don't even want to spoil it because it's something you just need to play and experience for yourself. Astro Bot winning Game of the Year was probably the best thing that could happen for Sony, and it should send a message to them that us gamers just want fun games. Astro Bot took around 3 years to make with only 60 developers, and I think that the budget was somewhere around 60 to 65 million US dollars, which is literally nothing compared to Spider-Man 2's $315 million budget, or Concord's $400 million budget, which they completely lost after that game just flopped. Even though Astro Bot has only sold around 1.5 million copies since release, because of its small budget, it doesn't really need that many copies sold to be profitable for Sony. And with everyone complaining about the lack of PS5 exclusives and with how long these big games take to make, if there were more games like Astro Bot sprinkled in between the first-party AAA games like Spider-Man and God of War, then the PS5 would probably be selling even better than it already is, and would actually have a better reputation online. When you have Sony's CFO saying, we don't have enough original IPs, while they're literally sitting on a goldmine of untouched IPs from the PS3 era like Sly Cooper and Jak and Daxter, Astro Bot's success becomes even more important for fans like me that just want to see those type of games make a return. So once again, thank you to all the devs at Team Asobi for cooking up one of the most fun games I've played recently with Astro Bot, and I hope they continue to make more hits in the future. Sony better not pull an Xbox and cancel them like Hi-Fi Rush's studio got cancelled. Anyways, that's all for this video. Thank you all for watching till the end. I just want to quickly say thanks for the support on my last video on AC Shadows. It was my first video to get over like 1.6k views and a lot of comments. I'm really grateful and I was really happy to see the positive engagement. More videos are coming soon, so if you enjoyed this one then please subscribe, leave a like, and comment what your favorite level or cameo bot was if you've played Astro Bot yet. Thank you again and I'll see you on the next one. Stay tuned.